Hello, today we are going to present you our project on economic geography of Uzbekistan, and firstly I will tell you about economic history of Uzbekistan and its distinctive features. Ancient tribes came to the territory of modern Uzbekistan around the middle of 3rd millennia, and the formation continued to the 1st millennia before Christ. One of the most widespread tribes was Scyths, nomads who were skilled in archery and horse breeding. Starting from the 8th century before Christ, there was a development of separated civilizations on the lands of Central Asia. This period was also a time of rise of Achaemenid Empire. Specializations and industries of the civilizations were primarily defined by the territorial features. For example, Khwarezmia was located near the Darya river, so naturally it was an agricultural country. Sogdiana is also worth mentioning. As Leonard mentioned in 2011, on its territory Sogdiana had multiple routes on the Silk Road. And that is how its people became the traveling merchants who were strengthening connections between different parts of Asian regions. Later, Sogdiana and other territories also succeeded in metalworks, and their early works were widely known in the 6th-8th centuries Anno Domini. After the coming of Islam in 8th century Anno Domini, there was a golden age of Uzbekistan, and Bukhara became the center of science and art trade. Uzbekistan went through Mongol period, and in 14th century it started its conquest to the neighboring territories. But they had to face impoverishment of their cities since Silk Road became irrelevant due to sea navigation. According to Luby in 1989, Russian conquest of these lands in 19th century brought economical and inner changes to this region. Among these we can define the establishment of the middle class, but peasants were still a huge stratum of the society. When industrialization came to Russian Empire, it was also implemented to Uzbekistan, mainly to the cotton industry. Even though it was developing slowly, it brought the start of industrialization and railroads. Russian Empire also paid attention to the golden mines of Uzbekistan, and we can see the resemblance with modern situation. As I said, agriculture was the main element of economical progress. With the development of industries, cotton production became Uzbekistan's specialization. The USSR tried to develop the region at fast rate through the cotton production. Soviets also helped to develop heavy industry in Uzbekistan by developing gold mining. According to Iberia 2015, Uzbekistan was one of the lagging behind countries beyond Soviet republics, since it was primarily used as a cotton resource for Soviets. After Uzbekistan left USSR 3 months before it collapsed, the process of transition to capitalism has started. This process is still being followed with challenges such as problem of forced labor and child labor in the cotton industry, as for January of 2021. Not to forget to mention that policy of President Karimov, so-called Uzbek model, led to social inequality starting from the 90s, which brought current situation of inability to find work in Uzbekistan. So in order to earn some money, people leave to Russia working on low-paid jobs. To sum up, we can say that Uzbekistan has not passed through all the modes of production, only certain. It was and stays mainly agricultural country, even though during Soviet times it was industrialized. Now it is going through urbanization, which means it has opportunities to develop its economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Varya. Now I would like to tell about resources, economic and social structure. Uzbekistan is a resource-rich country in Central Asia. The state is landlocked but has managed to increase its economic power. Uzbekistan has both favorable soil and natural resources. All extracted and proposed resources are used in various purposes, both inside the country, in commercial purposes, in light and heavy industry, and for export. There are 3 sectors of the economy in Uzbekistan: agriculture, industry, and services. Scientists and economics observe growth and development at each sub-level. This occurs because the entire economic space is filled with various manufacturers, which are evenly distributed through the country. For 67 years, Uzbekistan was part of the USSR with a common economy. From a fully controlled union, Uzbekistan gained destroyed and weak intersectoral ties and directive state management. In order to solve this problem, the government of Uzbekistan was forced to take some measures to restore and stimulate the economic structure. At present, the state economy is at a pace of growth and development. Moreover, it is moving along the path of democratization and market relations. Uzbekistan has an established system of trade unions which is based on legitimate declaration. This structure is engaged in protecting workers' rights, paying compensation, ensuring the employment of women and young people, and of course creating safe work. Now let's move to social structure. In the second half of 20th century, there was a demographic explosion in Uzbekistan. The population is growing rapidly, both due to natural increase of the native population and due to migrating processes. Moreover, the population remains young and able-bodied, so the authorities provide this spectrum with a wide range of educational services. However, the country has a complex geography and climate conditions, so the settlement of people is uneven. Thus, most of the population lives in the eastern half of the country. But despite all the difficulties, the country is ahead of a number of CIS countries and other Central Asian republics in terms of population density. Also, the country is experiencing rapid urbanization, which is based on the growth of cities. Currently, about 50% of the population is urbanized. This is directly related to the operation of various factories. In conclusion, Uzbekistan is a country rich in natural resources. Despite the difficult economic situation around the world, domestic economic space and population is in constant growth. It has a large number of various factories. The country is in a period of urbanization and industrialization.
Economic position and development. According to the World Data Bank, the GDP of Uzbekistan in 2020 was 59.93 billion. It has significantly decreased since 2016. To compare Uzbekistan's indicators, we provided some neighboring countries such as Kazakhstan, and also developed countries such as Brazil and Afghanistan. GDP in Afghanistan is quite low compared with Uzbekistan. It is 20.1 billion. Kazakhstan GDP is 171.082 billion, and Brazil is 1.4 trillion. As for GDP per capita, the indicator of the country is 1.8. In Kazakhstan, it is 9.1, and in Afghanistan, it's 516.7. In Brazil, it is lower than in Kazakhstan, it's 6.8. Talking about Human Development Index, it is 0.72. It is increasing since 2000, and by ranking, Uzbekistan is 106th. Life expectancy is 71.7. Average income of Uzbekistan has been rising from 1996. And national income by 2021 is 7.179 euro, and gross domestic product is 8.795 euro. The indicator has been dropping from 2019. Unemployment rate according to the World Data Bank by 2020 is 7.041. The labor force has increased. It is 14.047, and in Brazil it is 95 and 6. Inequality in education is 0.7% by 2019, and the indicator has decreased significantly as earlier it was 1.4%. Percentage of GDP by 2020. The exports are 24.2 and imports are 37.8. The indicators of exports and imports have decreased from 2019 to 2020. Exports by 2.8 billion and imports by 3.1 billion. These changes can be easily explained by the factor of coronavirus. Major trade partners of the country are Kazakhstan, China, Russia. Main products of export are gold, natural gas, and cotton. Trade in 2020 is 61.9, and trade openness is 61.9. For comparison, the world average in 2020 was 82.6. As for trade partners, the top partners of export and import are Russian Federation, China, Kazakhstan, and Turkey. Main products of export are gold, petroleum gas, copper, and etc. And for import are planes, cars, textile fiber machinery, and packed medicaments. Also, it should be mentioned that Uzbekistan is an observer of such economic integration as Eurasian Economic Union, as it is seeing the changes and reforms visibly transform the economy. According to EDB, infrastructural investments from Eurasian Economic Union reach more than 1 billion per year, which also adds small percentage to real GDP. And another benefit from being an observer of the integration is that it helps country to boost exports to other member states of Eurasian Economic Union. Despite of having status of observer in the integration, however, officials of Eurasian Economic Union have been promising the benefits of a full member. Talking about challenges of Uzbekistan, the main problem of Uzbekistan are unemployment, the huge scale of poverty, which was aggravated by the COVID. Another problem is the predominance of the manual approach, and moreover, authorities has noted that there are problems with the sanitation and water supply.